Joker is a very dark thriller directed by Todd Phillips and stars Joaquin Phoenix, and this is gonna get weird, folks, so here we go. Arthur Fleck is a social outcast with serious mental problems and isn't exactly going places. He has a day job as a clown, lives with his fragile mother, and is desperately seeking attention as a stand-up comedian. But when he loses the only psychological help he's getting and repeatedly gets beat down by the people of Gotham, he gets a little nuts. So there's a lot of controversy about this movie, but this is not a talk show. It's not a talk show, is it? Anyway, whether it's books, video games, or movies, crazy people are always gonna do crazy things, right, Barry? So from now on, let's just ignore the political stuff and talk about the movie instead. I'm just gonna jump right ahead and tell you that this is one of the best movies of the year, which honestly I did not expect, especially coming from Todd Phillips. This is not a comic book movie. It may be based on a DC character, but this is the first of its kind. Of course, it's heavily inspired by Taxi Driver. It even looks like it's set in the 70s. But just like Taxi Driver, don't expect a hero's journey or any type of catharsis. You're not meant to root for the main character. That's not what this movie is about. It's really dark and cynical, and for sure it's not gonna make you feel good. In fact, I felt anxious and uncomfortable the entire time watching this. The way the violence is portrayed is so real and so unnerving that it becomes disturbing. That doesn't make this movie any less excellent because everything about it is done really well. The cinematography, the editing, the sound design, but mostly the acting. I love Dark Knight Joker, and it's much more in tune with my personal preference of this character. But Joaquin Phoenix takes this to a different place, like a much darker, weird place. It's extraordinary. One of the things that makes his portrayal absolutely brilliant is the tragedy of his character, the slow but steady descent into madness. Arthur Fleck has this condition. He laughs uncontrollably, very much like Tourette syndrome. Joaquin Phoenix does such a great job with this little detail. Every time it happens, you can tell that he doesn't want it. He's trying to fight it, and it almost seems to hurt him physically, like some sort of seizure. So at first you sympathize with him, but as he gets more and more unhinged, that very same thing that made you feel sorry for him now starts to get menacing and scary. That turnaround is absolutely brilliant. And this is just a small example of how insanely good his acting is in this film. Between him and Heath Ledger, Jared Leto is nothing but a fast food clown. When they first announced this movie, I honestly wasn't that excited for a Joker origin story. I do absolutely love Alan Moore's Killing Joke, but even in that story, Joker didn't have a name. To me, this character had to be nameless and mysterious, like the Dark Knight Joker, who keeps making up stories about his scars. This Joker, though, has a name and a past, but what I loved about it is that after the movie ends, you can kind of eat your cake and have it too, but that's getting into spoiler territory, so I'll leave it at that. I will say that the one thing that didn't work as well as the rest of the movie, for me anyways, was, ironically enough, all of the connective tissue with the Batman universe. I do understand why they felt the need to put it in this movie, but there were some scenes, particularly one towards the ending of the film, where the characters could have been renamed or just left out. I would argue if you take out all of the things that make this a Joker movie, it's still an outstanding piece of art. The DC stuff is great, but it's just the icing on the cake. I'm not gonna see this movie again anytime soon because of how uneasy it made me feel, which doesn't happen often. Not a lot of movies disturb me, but I was completely blown away. It's a smart, topical, grim, and shocking movie with very little flaws, and I will never doubt Todd Phillips ever again. Joker is a gem. Yeah, I think I mentioned cake twice, and now I'm kinda hungry, so you wanna get some... Barry, what the hell are you doing?